Hi, welcome to Psychic Tapestry. I'm Ken Kessler and she's Toni DeMaio. Hi, Toni.
Hi, Ken, and hi, everybody. Happy
And
Thursday. It's a
it is
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Usually it's Tuesday when we're recording this, but I messed up
Oh, you don't.
and um and I don't want to get into the weeds of it, but it's all my fault and I'm sorry. And that's why we're here on Thursday instead of Tuesday. But
Well, you are forgiven,
oh,
which
thank
goes
you.
with the
Thank you. That's
with
what
the
we're going to
topic
talk
at
about.
hand.
I do want to mention that there are a couple ways that you can connect with us. We're on social media, facebook.com/psychic tapestry and at psychic tapestry on Twitter. And we also have a website, psychictapestry.com. So you can connect all those different ways. And if you're listening to this after Thursday, September 5th, odds are pretty good that you are. Thank you for listening. We appreciate that. But Toni and I are live here every other Tuesday, usually every other Tuesday when I don't mess it up. And so you keep an eye on our social media and you'll see when the next one is coming. And if you're available, we'd love to have you join us live. So, so there. And thank you. I want to talk about forgiveness tonight in a couple different ways because I think I have always felt that it's important, and I was reminded of it with something that happened last week, which we'll get into a little bit later. But I mentioned this to Toni that I wanted to talk about this, and she thought that was a great idea because it's so important. So let me ask you the obvious question, Toni. Why is forgiveness important?
Well, thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
Okay. Basically, there are many benefits to forgiving, and they are profound and they are very important because it can really be almost life or death for some people. You can ruin your health, your mental health, you can ruin your physical health by dwelling on past hurts. And I think everyone's been hurt. If you're human, you've been hurt. So it's a universal subject, it's a universal issue and problem because no one escapes this planet without some type of disappointment or hurt or being let down because we're all human. And that's what we do. We let each other down in subtle ways at some point, not all the time, but, it happens. So basically, it will improve your health and it can lower your blood pressure to truly forgive someone. It can improve your cholesterol levels and it can reduce the risk of a heart attack. Also, it can reduce pain, and there's something called emotional shadow pain that people will sometimes get if they're very emotionally upset over something, over pain in their lives that they're not letting go of. And some people love to hold on to the pain. It almost becomes their identity, which is sad. And it will also improve your ability to sleep through the night. And that's just number one. I have a whole list. And
Ah,
number two, I'll just give you one and two, then I'll shut up. No,
okay.
number two is better mental health. It can reduce anxiety, stress, depression, and improve your self esteem. So that's pretty powerful stuff.
It is. And one of the things I always like to mention when we talk about forgiveness is that you can forgive and still have your boundaries.
Yes,
It doesn't
very good
mean that
point.
you forget what happened or dismiss it or you're going to be pals with that person again. You don't have to, that person does not have to be part of your life. You can
That's right.
forgive without welcoming them back in. Uh,
Exactly.
that's part of that's what that's what helps you get healthier when
Mm-hmm.
you forgive is recognizing that because why do you need to carry that around? You don't.
You
It's just
don't.
and there's a good chance they don't even care
Yeah.
depending on what
Or
happened.
don't even know what they did
Yeah,
sometimes.
they may not know what they did or they may not care. And
Yeah.
and you may be, and I know that a lot of people do this, you may be waiting for an apology.
Hmm.
and it may never come. And why why let them make you miserable for so long, make you hurt, make you sick while you're waiting for them to apologize for something that they may not remember doing, may not realize they did it, may not care that they did it, might be glad they did it and would do it again if they had the chance. I mean, but the but forgiving somebody, because we all have things we need to learn here this time
Hmm.
around, each time
Yep.
around. And if they need to figure out whatever it is they need to figure out, that doesn't mean they have to be part of your life, but you can forgive them for whatever they did as they try to figure out whatever they need to figure out. And you can do that, and you do not have to invite them back in.
Nope.
You do not have to do that. And it's okay. Um it's not any kind of commentary on your character if you don't have them back in as part of your life. It's not at all. It's healthy. It's
Yeah,
healthy and you matter. And I think that's something that a lot of people miss.
I agree. And another benefit to forgiving is it helps us to develop stronger relationships with people that we do want to keep in our lives. Like, let's say your spouse or your children or your mom or your dad or a friend. There are people that hurt us, and we can have resentment build if we don't talk about it and discuss it and do the forgiveness. So it's very healthy to do that. And it also helps you to develop a better self-worth because you feel better about yourself when you forgive. Like taking the high road is always a good way to be. And it doesn't mean that it's okay what that person did. It doesn't minimize what they did when you forgive. It just means that you don't want to be bound to them. Because when we let someone be so important to us that they can ruin our day or our life, we have given away our power. And that's something we don't want to do. You want to keep your power. You want to remain powerful and strong. So
Absolutely.
forgiveness helps you to do that.
I like to think of it as, and this is very uh, simplistic, but if you can think of, excuse me, if you can think of yourself as having a capacity of 10 pounds, that you
Yep.
can carry 10 pounds of love and joy and everything. And on your plate is anger and
Mm,
frustration and resentment and all of these negative things. You're missing out. You're missing out on it's taking up room in your aura, in your soul, in everything. And you could be so much happier. There's room in there for so much more joy if you can figure out a way to release that, to forgive and let it go. And you don't need to carry that anymore. And you'll be so much happier, lighter.
yes.
Food tastes better.
Mhm.
Things smell better. Things look better. Things sound better. Um, and all your other senses. So just think of it that way. You got this plate that has all of your stuff on it, and there's that nasty garbage on the end. Just sort of scrape that off. I forgive you, and I'm not going to let you ruin anything anymore.
That's it. That's the whole thing. And it can promote personal growth because you can actually find out that after you've done that, if you think about it, you may develop more empathy and compassion for others on both ends of forgiveness for those who have been hurt and for those who have hurt others. It can, if you really look at the big picture, it can help you to understand that we're all just human and humans are imperfect, you know? And
Yes,
this, and
I
number
know that very
five,
well.
yeah. And number five on my list is emotional strength. It can help people take control of their emotions and responses and break free from that victim mentality. And, that's a huge one because you can grab on to a bad feeling or a hurt and just kind of let that become your identity. And that's so destructive to
It
your
is.
life. Yeah.
We hear from so many people
Mhm.
who are looking for love and they're waiting for him to come back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And usually it's somebody who did something wrong
Hmm.
in the relationship. Um, Cheating is the obvious one, but there are plenty of
Hmm.
things that
Hmm.
could have happened, and they're waiting for them to come back, whether they're going to apologize or not for it. And it's taking hours of their day where they're stalking them on social media to see, or checking to see if they're going to call, or whatever else. And that time could be spent in so many better ways than letting that eat away at your life.
Right. I agree with that for sure. Yeah, it says freedom, it can give you freedom from guilt and shame. Forgiveness can help people experience true freedom and joy. It can get your joy back when you let go of the hurt and the pain and realize that you're better than that, than just to wallow and be a victim. Nobody wants to be a victim, at least nobody should want to be a victim.
I can remember not that long ago being connected to somebody who I thought I could trust,
Right.
who I don't want to, and I didn't want to carry that around anymore, but I
Right.
didn't want to forgive them either. And that took some doing. And I was like, I don't want to forgive them because it felt like I'm 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 saying it's okay what they did, and I'm letting them get away with it. And they
Mm-hmm.
didn't, and that's how I felt about it. But I was also waiting for them to become, I don't know, enlightened, a better person, something. I was waiting for them to be so that they would have realized what how they treated me and apologized. And none of that was happening. And I was just calling that energy back in to my life on a daily basis. And finally, a a psychic friend of mine uh, gave me a cord cutting meditation to do. And I forgave them, but I cut the cord. I didn't want to
Yep.
be connected to them anymore. And what a relief. Oh my
Mhm.
God. I felt I felt like I had been hunched over for a long time. And when this happened, I could stand up straight and it felt relief. It felt good. I don't wish them any harm. I hope that they figure things out for whatever they need to figure out. I hope they don't do what they did to me to anyone else, but I don't want to know about it. I don't want to be
Mhm.
involved. I and that was, oh, what a wonderful feeling to be free of that and
Yes.
to not, and social media makes it more difficult to take them out of your life. So you're not seeing, even if you're not friends with them anymore. So I would suggest if you have somebody in your life like that, that you want to forgive and then cut the cord and be done with, block them. Block them on Facebook, block them on Twitter, block them on any place where you spend time. So then there's no possibility of you bumping into them or seeing something else that they're up to, or seeing them talk about you or about whatever happened or any of that garbage. You don't need it. Move on. Just block and move on. And and enjoy the peace.
Absolutely. That was good. That was a good example. And I understand that completely. I mean, I've had to forgive as well, quite a few people. And, I've said things like, well, I forgive you, but I'll catch you next lifetime because it's not working out in this one. And also, just because you've forgiven, you don't trust that person, and you probably aren't going to forget what happened.
Right.
And sometimes it's not possible to rebuild trust in any relationship, not just an intimate one. It can be a friendship where you just don't trust that person anymore. And so it's best to part ways, but do it in a cordial manner and let it go, you know?
I think for a lot of people, forgiveness gets all bundled up with all of these other things that you have to forget, and you have to bring them back in, and you have to trust again, and you have to deal with them on a regular basis. And none of that is true. You can forgive and be done with them. I can,
Mm.
I forgive you, but I can't trust you anymore.
Yeah.
And you don't have to say that. You don't have to say any of this to them.
No, you don't.
You can do a meditation. You can just say it to yourself and mean it, and be done. I mean, I know it's harder if you work with someone like this.
Hmm.
I don't know if you work with somebody closely, and it gets to that point. Uh, it's easy for me to say you need to find another job, but really you kind of do, or you need to find somewhere else in that place to be able to, maybe you can get moved, either promoted or promoted laterally or something, so that you're not connected to them. Or you do need to start putting out your feelers. And I know that's not fair. Why should you have to leave? And you're right, it's not fair. But if you want to be happy, you matter and you deserve it. And if that's keeping you from being happy, it's time to figure out a way that you can be.
Very true. That's another show, I think, about the happiness, allowing yourself to be happy. That's a
Yeah.
good point, though. Absolutely. And it says when you forgive someone, you're also forgiving yourself because you put yourself into that situation or you let that person in your life. And so sometimes we need to forgive ourselves too.
Yeah, that's a big one, and I do want to get into that, but I don't want to break up your list. So,
No, it's okay. Go
okay.
ahead. Keep
Well,
keep going. I'm all over the place here.
okay. Well, forgiving yourself is a big thing, and it's difficult whether or not whatever happened was your fault, or you played any sort of role in it. Forgiving yourself is difficult. And I realized about a week ago, and I've posted a video, a meditation video a couple of times. I think I posted it even today, so you can find it on our Facebook or Twitter pages if you just go back a few hours, or if you're listening to this much later, on September 5th, you'll find it. Uh, but and it's not the only video; there are plenty of others. But anyway, I had been carrying something around with me that I didn't realize that I was even carrying around. And it came up last week. I was having a particularly challenging week, and I remembered this incident from almost 40 years ago,
Oh,
of
wow.
something that I did that I'm not proud of. And I'm not going to go into the details. I didn't kill anybody. I didn't rape anybody. I didn't do anything that they would put me on death row for.
Right.
But I did something that I'm not proud of, and I didn't realize how much this was weighing me down for so many years. I mean, I thought about it every now and then, but not for long. and for a couple reasons, not because I was, I don't know, ambivalent about it, because I wasn't, but it was also something that it's been so long that there's nothing I could do about it now.
Mm.
It happened, and I wish it didn't. I wish I could do something to change it, but I can't. And I felt I felt it sort of getting bigger, that it was that that it was just such a burden. And I felt like it was starting to impact the way I felt about myself, and that I didn't know what I was going to do about that. And I was starting to feel like I didn't want to meditate, because now that I think about it so often, my guides, my angels, everybody's going to know, like they wouldn't already know. But I didn't want, I just, because I was projecting my humanness on to my guides, and that they would think less of me. Maybe they would decide they're not going to be my guides anymore, all that kind of stuff, all that woe is me kind of stuff. And I went looking on YouTube for a forgiveness meditation, mostly, Toni, because of you, always talking about all these
Oh,
meditations that are on YouTube.
yes.
So I found this one that was uh, at 1111 megahertz, which 1111 is a big angel number for
Mhm.
me.
Yes.
And the meditation itself was 3 hours, 33 minutes, and 33 seconds. Well, I wasn't going to meditate for that long, but that's how long the music was. So it would be long enough for whatever you need, unless you need something longer than that, which I find it very doubtful. But you could probably loop it or something so that it could be longer if you want to sleep to it, I suppose. So I meditated, and I meditated for the first time in a long time. And guides and angels came forward, many that I did not expect,
Wow.
and told me that they loved me and they were proud of who I am. And they're my team and will always be. And that was really a great feeling, knowing that I'm not the same person that I was 37, 38 years ago, however it was, when I did what I did. Um and that and I just, I felt guilty about it, because I couldn't do anything to change it, and I couldn't do anything now to make up for it. I could try and do all kinds of good deeds and pretend like I'm trying to make up for that by, it's like by planting a tree or whatever else, and do all kinds of stuff. But I don't believe that there's a ledger where God or the universe or source or whatever you want to say is going over, well, you did this really bad thing, and that's 2,000 demerits for that. But then I see that you were kind to children and animals, and you did some other things, so we'll give you some points for that. And I don't buy into that. I think that we're all works in progress, and we're learning things and trying to be better
Mhm.
than we were yesterday. And having I'm trying not to make this sound like I'm better than anybody, because I'm not. But having
No, you're not. You're
angels
not saying
tell
that.
you that they're proud of you,
Yes.
it's amazing. It's what an amazing feeling it is. And it did lift this burden away. It didn't mean that I was absolved of anything, or that, any of that, but it meant that I could forgive myself.
Yes.
Nobody else was carrying this. None of my team were carrying this around, or we're gonna, pull out a clipboard and go, just a minute there, bub. Look at this. from back in 1980, whatever it was. Nobody was going to do that. And that my team loves me and is proud of me. Sadly, those are things that most of us don't get to hear very often
Right.
from anybody. And to be able to hear that and and feel that and know that it's okay for me to not to for me to set this down and not carry it anymore, and that I can forgive myself. I didn't ask angels or my guides or anybody to forgive me or do some kind of magic trick that made it all better. I didn't ask for any of that. I, I don't even know if I asked for anything, but to be told that they're proud of me, to feel that I could forgive myself. No one else knows any of this. It's just me. But to know that I could forgive myself and I could continue to try and be better than I was yesterday. And
Mhm.
that's good. And that I've got ancestors and guides and angels who are proud of me and love me and are not looking down at me or judging me or any of that is an amazing feeling. I can't guarantee that you will have that experience if you use the meditation I posted or another one, but I think this is something that is so wonderful about meditating and talking to your guides, and that you can have the spiritual team that is in your corner and that loves you just the way you are today, right now, blemishes and everything. Whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're healthy, whether you're sick, whether you don't always make very good decisions, whether you're bad with money, bad with food, bad with whatever else. And I'm not just talking to people who are bad with a lot of stuff. You could be good with a lot of stuff too. But wherever you are right now, that you don't need to hold grudges against yourself. You
Right.
don't need to sit there and go, oh, if only I had done whatever or hadn't done whatever 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 12 years ago, 37 years ago, whatever it is. If you realize that you can put that down, you don't have to carry it anymore. You can put that down and it's okay.
Absolutely.
It's a tremendous feeling, and I know it's not easy to forgive yourself,
Nope.
but
It isn't really. It isn't.
there aren't any there aren't any rules about it. And I know it sounds almost like a cop out, but the truth is, you know, if you forgive yourself and you don't really mean it, you're just saying the words, you know.
Hmm.
And the thing about that is that you didn't really put anything down at all. You just said some words that you heard somebody on a podcast say, and you're gonna feel better about yourself and move along, but you're still toting that around. Um, and I'm not saying that my way is the only way. You can figure out what works for you, but it is okay to forgive yourself. And your team loves you and is proud of you.
Right. That was beautiful. And I ran across something that I found very interesting. It's called an emotional pain chart on the internet. I found it when I was doing research for tonight. And it was talking about exactly what you're talking about when we don't forgive ourselves and others. It can result in pain in different parts of our body. And depending on where that pain is, it indicates certain things. Like neck pain indicates that you're very inflexible and that there's something that you're trying not to do, like forgive somebody. So if you can't forgive someone, even yourself, you might be a person that has neck pain and you don't even know why. And then our shoulders, we hold pain in our shoulders, and that's our ability to feel joyful in life. So if we don't forgive, that is robbed from us. We don't feel that joy. And we have a more negative attitude, which will cause pain in your shoulders. And then it talked about the spine. The upper spine will lead to feeling unloved and a lack of emotional support from others. It will also result in you withholding your love because people can get kind of curmudgeonly and hermity from these types of experiences and just give up and go inside and retreat from others and give up on trying to have relationships because they're so afraid to get hurt again, you know, and they can't forgive. It's
And
just very sad.
you can't forgive. And then you also start judging everybody else. Oh, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to get involved with them because that's probably just another this or that, or there I can tell, or I don't want to risk. I don't want to
Yes.
risk them lying to me or cheating on me or stealing from me like somebody else did. And it's
Mm-hmm.
very easy to fall into that.
Exactly. And interestingly enough, I found another issue involved with forgiveness. It was called toxic forgiveness. Have you ever heard of that, Ken?
I have not.
Well, you were talking about it earlier because you were saying that when you struggled to forgive that person so long ago when you were much younger, um, toxic forgiveness means forgiving to keep the peace and without doing the emotional work needed, and it never works because that person is stuck on the idea that they're forgiving, that forgiving means what the person did was okay, and
Right.
that's why they can't forgive. But if you do the emotional work, as you have done over these years, as I have done, as so many of us have done, then we're in a better place to take that high road and do the forgiveness work. Working on ourselves, having self-knowledge, it helps.
And we talk about forgiveness like it's, I don't know, like it's something that you can just learn and do.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's somebody that you need to forgive, but you don't want them in your life, that you can say these magic words and you can do it and there it's done. And it's not quite that easy. And it is a little bit of work. And what I have found is that I can forgive this person who had I can forgive this person who had wronged me. Let's just say that
Mm-hmm.
without letting them back in. And this is the one where I cut the cord. And I can do that. But I'm human. So every once in a while, something will pop in my head that they did or that I found out about. And then it's up to me to figure out, what do I do with this? I can let this gnaw at me, or I can dismiss it. I usually ask my angels and guides, just take this away. I don't need this. And I try to move on to something else. And most of the time it works. Sometimes it needs a little extra, but that's one of the beauties of having a spiritual team, is that you can ask for help with those kind of things because we're human, and just making the decision that you're going to forgive, but you don't want them around anymore and you don't want to think about it anymore. Saying that is great and important, but it's not always so simple. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes memories are going to come back. Something, a song might be on the radio that you connect with that period of time when something happened, or you see something on Facebook, or you see something on the news, an anniversary of something that happened, and you remember that period of time, and that pops back into your head. And it's up to you to decide, I'm done with this. I forgave. I moved on. I don't need to, this doesn't need to concern me anymore. And it's things like that. And it is work. And it, just doing this forgiveness, even if you find the most amazing meditation to do and you feel so great afterwards, that's terrific. But 4 months down the road, something could pop up, and you just have to make that decision that you're not letting this back in. I'm not gonna let, this is not gonna ruin my day. This is not going to make me angry. This is not going to make me see what they're up to now. This is not going to be part of my life anymore. And you make that decision and then move on to something else. And the instances of it popping up will decrease over time after you get past that, but it may never end. It may come up again in 37 years. Like,
Right.
you just have to just make that decision and make it again and make it again if you need to. This is not coming back in. I don't need to revisit this. I have forgiven them. I have forgiven myself. I have done the work. I'm moving on.
I love it. I love it. And there was a phrase that I also ran into this week. It said forgiveness is an act of kindness and goodness. It's a path to peace. It's a decision you make to give you the control of your life back. It's the gift you give to empower yourself. And I think that's very true, right?
Absolutely. Yes. And I think
Yeah.
that if you're ready to do some kind of forgiveness ritual, whatever it is that you're going to do, um, you have to get in the right headspace to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I had I had kind of a difficult day today, and I came home and had dinner with Lisa, and
Yeah.
she wanted to run a couple errands, and I said, "Well, I have the podcast coming up," and she said, "Well, it's not till 8." And I said, "Yeah, but
Right.
I need to go in and kind of get in the right headspace." And I came in my office, and I brought my dog in here because he doesn't like to be outside, and I closed the door, and I lit some sage, and I put on my music, and I just sort of
Yeah.
sunk into that and let it didn't wash away everything from today, but it sort of got me in a place where this was my focus, and I felt good being here and
Yes.
talking about it. And that's what you need to do when you're ready to forgive. It's not that, if you're in a lousy mood and you had a bad day, or this particular thing that you want to forgive has been bugging you, and you're like, fine, I forgive you. Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody, including you, is believing that.
Yep.
You have to get in, and you need to do whatever it is you need to do. And sometimes that means you need to go to bed and get a decent night's sleep so that you're running on all your cylinders the next day, so that you can do that, and you can be a really good version of you and be in a good place. And then you can do that work, and you can forgive, and you can cut that cord if you need to, and you can
Yes.
feel like you really mean it. And that's so important.
Absolutely. And since you mentioned cutting the cord, maybe we should share how to do that.
Okay. How do
Yeah.
you, I, I, I have a feeling we do not do this the same way.
Okay.
I have a
Tell me how
hunch.
you do it.
Okay. What? what I was taught to do was to imagine um, like a figure eight, but on its side of gold
I like
energy.
that.
Okay. And I'm standing in one of the circles and I'm calling in the energy of whoever it is I want to cut the cord with into the other circle. And then I ask Archangel Michael to
Hmm.
cut the cord. And he is good at that.
Yes, he is.
And he whacks that cord and it's done. And it's really kind of short. It doesn't need to be, like, for me, it doesn't need to be very long. I have not done this a lot of times, but when I have done it, it's been very effective.
It is.
And but you also have to believe that it's been effective. And then after that cord is cut, don't dwell on
Right.
whoever it was that you cut the cord with, because that's just going to attach a brand new cord.
Pull him back.
Yeah.
Yes.
So don't, yeah,
Yeah.
you don't need to pull them back. Every for especially this one in particular, every time they pop into my head for whatever reason, I dismiss it as quickly as I can. Like, you
You
know
have
what?
to
I
do it.
don't need that.
Yes.
I don't need that. I'm not even that person anymore. I
There you
don't.
go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
And
so
that's
that's
the
how
way to,
I do it.
yep. I like that. I especially like the infinity symbol that you stand in. I did not know about that. Now you taught me something. But of course, this is all part of moving past and letting go of the past, which
Yes.
is always a very healthy thing to do. And like you said, we can't keep pulling people back to us with our thoughts. Our thoughts are very powerful. And I didn't realize, but James Van Praagh shared once, took classes with him, that other people can reattach back to you if they continually obsess on you. That can send a cord back to you. So you kind of have to always be clearing the cords and asking Archangel Michael to come and help you and to cut them. So the way I was taught was to write down the incident, write down how you felt, write down the whole thing, and then forgive and put it on there that you forgive and release and surrender this experience, and that you wish the person well, that you no longer wish to be, associated with them, or, attached to them, or controlled by them in any way. And you're taking back your power, which is very, very powerful, very, very important. Then you burn that in a bowl and throw it outside, get it out of the house. And then you ask Archangel Michael to cut all the cords. And you can do that with the meditation. There are many Archangel Michael cutting cord meditations. So it's good to do the whole meditation, listen to it, and imagine that he is cutting those cords for you. And trust. And it is powerful. It literally is. Yeah. And you
And
really don't see that person again, usually at all. They're
and
gone.
when I do that with the
Powerful.
with the figure eight, the infinity symbol, I always ask for protection for myself.
Uh-huh. Always.
Because if I'm going to call the energy of this other person that I don't want to be connected to anymore, I don't want I don't want any trouble. So,
No.
I'm not asking for I'm not asking for anything. I just want to be done. And, and so I always ask for for protection. Please only let me um, connect to energy that's for my highest good.
Yep. That's
It's a
another,
simple thing.
that is a good point. I'm glad you mentioned that. We always use Archangel Michael for protection whenever doing any spiritual practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So that
And
was good.
one of the things I love about Archangel Michael, and there are many things I love about Archangel
Mhm.
Michael, but uh, one of the concepts we have trouble with is that all time is now.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times I have started some sort of group meditation, spiritual circle, whatever, and have forgotten to ask at the beginning for protection. So whenever it occurs to me, I immediately ask
Mhm.
Archangel Michael, please keep us safe. Help us only connect with energy for our highest good. And please go back to the beginning of the circle and do that for the entire thing. So it's a cop out. It's not a cop out. I don't know, but all time is now, so it should be no problem for him. And he's never said anything, dude. I'm not, you got to remember, he's never said anything about it. And I always feel like we have been protected for the whole thing, even if I
Mhm.
waited 10, 15 minutes before I said, oh, by the way, can you go back to the beginning and keep us safe for the whole time? And I
I
just feel
think,
like he's
yeah,
like, sure, I got it.
he's got, well, I think you're right that whenever you invoke Archangel Michael, he's protecting you. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just what he does. So he's going
Yeah.
to do it no matter what, whether or not you specifically ask. I agree with that.
Yeah. And the important thing about so much of this and so much of everything that we talk about on Psychic Tapestry is that you got to believe it. You have to
Yes,
believe
yeah,
that you can forgive yourself or that you can forgive somebody else or any of the stuff that really that we have been talking about. Otherwise, it's words, and if you don't believe it, there's no energy there.
that's right.
And if you don't believe it, it doesn't matter. You don't believe it. You don't believe that you're being forgiven. You don't believe that you're forgiving anybody else.
Right.
So you got to believe it. And I think that the meditation that I posted and so many others, there are so many. Um, these are all great tools that you can use that can help you get to that state where you can feel it, where you can feel your guides. And while I don't do it certainly as often as I should, um, I think meditation is so important, and we should probably do another meditation episode. But to be
Mhm.
able to connect, it's such a great way to be able to connect with your team and to be able to feel that love, that unconditional support, and know that you have that so that you can forgive yourself and you're not alone. Just such a what a gift that is to be
Mhm.
able to know that you're not alone. You have this great team and you are forgiven and you are loved and they are proud of you.
Yes. I love it.
I guess that's about it, unless you have
Yeah.
anything you want to add.
No, I think we hit most, I think everything, all the
Okay.
points. That it's a way to free yourself and take back control of your life and stand in your personal power. I
Yeah,
love that.
I do too.
Hmm.
Well, thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. We love you.
Yes,
Toni,
we do.
thank you so much for rolling with this, being ready to go on Tuesday and then moving to Thursday and giving up some time for us
Anytime.
then.
I am very adaptable. I am resilient. That's who I am.
Oh, and I am very grateful. Thank
But
you.
I am very grateful for you. So we are feeling the same. And
Terrific.
that's good. Yes.
One thing I do want to mention about the podcast, if you're listening to this on your phone, there is now a text button that you can send us a message. I don't remember if it says click to send a message, click to text, something like that, but you'll see it in the upper left-hand corner. If you're listening on your phone, it's there and you can click that and send us a message. And I don't think we can message you back, but we'll talk about it on the next episode. So, so then be listening. But thank you so much for spending time with us and hope this helps. And we will be back on I think it's the 16th or the 17th is the Tuesday. Whichever one of those is the Tuesday, we'll be back.
We'll be back.
So check your local listings, and we'll have it on social media when, so you can join us. Hopefully, if you want to join us live, that's terrific. If you want to, the episode will usually be back up on all the streaming sites in a day or two, and I say that because it just sometimes takes time for it to get everywhere that it's going to get to. We're on lots of different places now. So I don't know where you found us today, but we're glad that you did. And if this is your favorite streaming site, subscribe so you'll never miss another episode. And if it's not, go to your favorite streaming site because we're probably there and you can subscribe there. We're even on YouTube now. So
Yeah.
you can find us there too. But thank you so much for listening. And if you don't want to wait until we're back in a couple weeks, you can go to psychictapestry.com and click on our teachers and healers, and you can connect with me or with Toni or with Lisa and see about getting a private reading, because we do those things in the
Yes,
between
we do.
times. In the meantime, we hope you have a great couple weeks. Take care of yourselves, stay safe, and remember to tell those close to you that you love them. And we'll talk to you soon.
Bye, everybody.